I'm so desperate.
For what, honey?
For some fun.
How many times do I have to fall? Scars on my hands, they don't seem too small. I'm sick and tired of having to wait in line. Change is coming, so I don't waste my time. I know what I want and I know how to get it. I know what I need, I won't let you forget it. I know what I want and I know how to get it. I know what I want and it's got my name on it. It's got my name on it. It's got my name on it. I know what I want and I know how to get it. I know what I want and it's got my name on it. I know what I want and it's got my name on it.
All our peeps have arrived.
David Hatkoff,
Hello, good to see you.
good to see you too. How you
I-
been this past year?
I've been good. I can't complain. I have a job I love, and I'm healthy, so I can't complain.
Well, I don't know where he is in our little configuration here, but this is Ronald Wohlman, who is you worked with many years ago.
I thought you were going to say it was an old Jewish friend.
He's an old Jewish friend, very true. Can't argue with that. And anyway, he started to contribute because he's a really good interviewer. And so he said, "Can I cover Newfest?" I said, "I think that'd be great because it's so helpful to have like somebody." And I know his work is proved itself already. So and then I wanted to have you back, David, of course. I'd like to make this an annual thing. But I thought, well, Ronald, you should meet Ronald, and he's excited about Newfest, and so that's hence the extra friend or extra pair of eyes and ears and whatever. I don't know what I'm saying, but
It's nice to see you, Ronald.
Nice to meet you, David, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Ronald, just jump in any time, because David and I go way back now.
Old friends.
All right, so we won't take too much of your time, right? Because I imagine you've got a lot going on.
Just a little bit, doing two festivals at once. It's a in person and a virtual. But I'm happy to chat with you. I'm always happy to talk about Newfest. So I'm glad to be here.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Good.
Was last year's festival virtual? Did you?
Last year's festival was virtual. We had 3 drive-in screenings, but everything else was virtual.
Oh, so you learned a lot from that experience, huh?
Certainly did. We certainly did.
And you went as far as where? Was it with global audiences or national or?
It was national audiences. Our relationships with the distributors require that we keep it to U.S. and its territories. Although anything that we were able to post on social media, so the conversations that we had, panel discussions, those were available to anyone who has access to Facebook or YouTube.
I think it's amazing though that because of virtual, your reach has expanded as much as it has.
It really has. Which is why we wanted to make sure to maintain it this year, because it really just opened the gates in terms of who could have access to these films.
Yeah. Do you get a sense of how do you gauge that? Like who's out there watching? I mean, just is there an actual way to do that, or are you just through the back end of the festival?
Yeah, no, through our virtual platform, we're able to see where people are watching from. But also we heard from so many folks all over the country, particularly states and towns that don't have festivals like ours or don't have access to films like ours, just expressing such deep gratitude for being able to participate in something like this. So it was really heartening to hear, we're so desperate for content here in Idaho, and thank you for making it available. So
wait a minute, there's not a LGBTQ festival in Idaho? Is that what you're saying?
I don't believe there is, although don't quote me on that,
I
because
know.
there are some in unexpected cities, I will
It's-
say.
Yeah, very true. The same is true with Jewish film festivals, I might add.
You had to bring
Well, I'm just, it's a tip of my hat to you, Ronald, because
Right.
I know how much that means to me.
that to you, Adam. David,
Also, I just want to mention, Ronald, before you ask, is that let's just make sure people know that it is a virtual festival, and it's going to be running, and the IRL version will be in New York City the 15th through the 26th of October. The virtual festival, pretty much the same dates, right? It's just that it's, online, of course. Go to newfest.org for details about either version of the festival, or both.
Yes, and almost all of the films that are playing in person are also playing virtually. There's a handful that will just be playing in person, and we also have a handful of films that are just playing virtually. So really, there's wherever you are, whatever your comfort level is, and coming out to the theater, there's 130 films to dive into. So it's definitely hold the dates, because there's lots of content coming.
can I ask you something, David, about the content, about this year's content in 130 films? Did you have any specific sort of theme or the way you curated these films? Did you have anything in mind that you wanted to bring this year in particular?
Yeah, I think the theme of this year's festival is connection. The LGBTQ plus community really thrives on connection, and for the last 18 months, we haven't been able to do that in person. And we really believe that queer film creates that kind of connection. We're such a diverse community. There are so many different voices and identities and experiences that make up the LGBTQ plus community. So that's kind of the overarching theme. The submissions and the films inform the themes of the festival.
Right.
It doesn't make sense for the programming team to say, we're going to be doing this before we see actually what films have been made and what films we have to choose from. So there are some themes that do emerge. One of them is refugees. Our closing night film is Flee, which won the Sundance Grand Prize at the Sundance Grand Prize Jury Award this year, and it's an animated documentary. It's incredible. It's probably going to get nominated for several Oscars. And that's about an Afghan refugee. We also have a shorts program called Finding Refuge, which are multiple short films about the refugee experience, and another film called Miguel's War, which we have the US premiere of, that won the Teddy Award at Berlinale for Best Queer Film at the Berlin Film Festival. So that's one of those themes that kind of emerged based on once we saw the films. We also wanted to highlight voices that are frequently not given a platform. So we have a feature film about the Two-Spirit experience, which is really great and a really underrepresented part of the community. We also have a feature film about the intersex experience. So we're just so glad that these films are getting made. We hope that there are more of them, and that we hope that by Newfest providing a platform for them, that the industry takes notice and starts further investing in these kind of projects from these voices of the more marginalized members of the community.
It's incredible what you're doing. So you've got 130 films. Does that mean that there is so much queer film being made that is there? How many submissions do you get?
We got, I think, over 700 submissions this year. So the good news is that, yes, there's a lot of queer films being made. And we have really difficult decisions in that we can't accept all of the films into the festival. The programming team has all sorts of heated discussions and, have their favorites that they advocate for. We always want more. We always, and we recognize that there's a lot of pipeline issues that prevent marginalized members of the community from getting their films made. That's one of the reasons why this past year we launched the Black Filmmakers Initiative. And that's a program that waives submission fees for Black filmmakers, so that removing that barrier for us to consider featuring their film in the festival. We also give cash prizes to select Black filmmakers. We have a jury that chooses those so that they can continue making their work, turn their short into a feature, or make their next piece. And so we're always looking at ways to provide resources to emerging filmmakers, because the more empowered these filmmakers are, the more content they can make, and the more vibrant the ecosystem around these films can be.
Definitely, I think what you're doing is so amazing.
Yeah, well, it's great that also you realize that you can't wait for certain film parts of different communities to just sort of fall into your lap, so to speak, but that you kind of have to make a concerted effort as a programmer, as a festival team, to seek them out and to help encourage. And I can understand and appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Our programming team, which is led by our director of programming, Nick McCarthy, and he has 4 programmers, assistant programmers who work with him, as well as a screening committee. And it's a really diverse group who, in addition to reviewing the submissions that come in, are also really sourcing what's out there. So they're pounding the pavement, frequenting other festivals and making calls to filmmakers, and really just making sure that they know that this is an opportunity for them to get their work seen. So they do a lot of work all year round to make sure that we have a really vibrant program. Without,
I guess, opening a too big of a Pandora's box or something, but I'm just wondering, now that you sort of have had 2 seasons during this pandemic, and I'm wondering if what's the experience been like kind of through that trajectory, like as somebody runs a relatively big festival like yours, what is the new fest, the new Newfest kind of in this current period, where I guess we're back to productions understand how to operate within a known virus, and so it's obviously very different than last year, which of course was just a crazy year compared to the year before, right? So
yes,
how are things now, I guess, is the question.
Yeah, it's a great question. I've been at Newfest for 3 years. This is my 3rd festival, and
oh my God, I forgot about that.
Yeah, no festival has been like the one before.
Imagine, Ronald.
So it's
I thought David started in August of 2019, a year before a global pandemic. It's quite a baptism by fire.
It is indeed, but it's been really personally challenging, yes, but also creatively nourishing, because all of the old ways that things have been done are no longer in place. And so it's really allowed us to kind of start from scratch and say, okay, how do we put on an event? How do we serve our community? How do we serve our filmmakers and our audiences in a way that makes sense for this moment, and not just how we've been doing things for 30 years. So it's been hard, but it's also been really satisfying. And I think this year's festival, which incorporates more than 50 in-person screenings, and so that's only a little bit smaller than a pre-pandemic in-person festival. We're at 4 venues in Manhattan and Brooklyn. And
which ones are they, by the way?
We're at SVA Theater in Manhattan, as well as the LGBT Community Center. And then we're in Brooklyn for the first time this year at Nighthawk Prospect Park.
Which one?
Nighthawk Prospect Park.
Oh, yeah. Right. I'm familiar with that theater. Yeah.
And then also at the Brooklyn Academy of Music, BAM.
Wonderful.
So it's a really robust in-person experience, including opening night and closing night parties. We're having a women's night out party at the Ace Hotel following an evening of films about the experience of women and made by women and non-binary filmmakers. So there's the in-person festival. But what we've learned, to your point, Adam, about the last year and a half, and as we were talking about before, that the accessibility that the virtual component provides now feels fundamental to who we are and what we do. It wouldn't make sense, now that we've reached so many new people, to say, okay, now that we're able
Pull
to
the plug
gather.
back or pull the rug back. Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah.
So the challenge is that it really is like producing two festivals at the same time.
Sure.
So just from we're a relatively small nonprofit with somewhat limited resources, and so we are trying to figure out what the balance of doing those things is. But to my earlier point about connection, I think that this feels like the model that's going to stick. Being able to provide the in-person experience for those who are geographically able to show up, who are physically capable of showing up, who are comfortable coming out to a public space.
And we should add, sorry to interrupt you, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and if you are showing up in person, you will need to show proof of vaccination this year, so people know. And for all the protocols, you can go to the website, newfest.org, and get all that information before just showing up.
Absolutely. Yep. Newfest.org has all of that info, and we're complying with all of New York City's regulations about safety, and we want our audience to feel safe. And if they, for whatever reason, don't feel comfortable, the fact that they're able to enjoy these premieres from the comfort of their own home, whether they're in New York or Idaho or wherever they are, really is means that we can reach as many people as possible.
See, I think Idaho is going to start their own LGBTQ festival.
I hope they do.
As a result of this.
Yes.
Yeah.
David, it struck me on your site. There's a line about providing joyful spaces and meaningful conversation. I love the concept of joyful spaces, but I think just going through the site and going through all the pictures, even just the way you present your own pictures of your bios, and everyone's smiling, and there is a sense of joy around this festival from that I think you've nailed. If that was baked into your strategy, that you've pulled that off. And I think that more than anything right now, that's what people need. Just a sense of like there's a place and we can just feel joy again. So I just congratulations, really.
Thank you, Ronald. That's lovely that you recognize that, and we really do believe that. I think there's nothing like a room full of queer people and allies like that. Just being together is joyful, and also seeing ourselves represented. So many LGBTQ plus folks grew up or spent much of their lives not seeing themselves visible in media and elsewhere in society. And so there is just something so meaningful about feeling seen and getting to share that experience with others. And even when it's around difficult subject matter, because not all of the films in our festival are sort of like laugh out loud comedies. Some of them tackle really challenging subject matter, but even then, to be able to see our stories being told, or to see other members of the community visible, it is, I think we really believe, a truly joyful experience. Like when we are seen, we know that we matter, and that we're a part of something bigger than ourselves, and that's the platform that I think that we're able to provide. So thank you for recognizing that.
Yeah, and anything Adam and I can do to increase that visibility, I'm so happy and proud to do.
That's lovely. Yeah, we just want to keep shouting from the rooftops that that this is happening, that the films are happening, and that there's so many different ways to be able to access them. So we encourage anyone who comes to the festival to share about it on social media, tell your friends, bring your friends, come to our social events. It's there's a lot of options of things to do both online and here in New York. But this 12 days is going to be really special. So right. we encourage people to really put it on their calendar.
It's the 33rd Newfest from the 15th of October through the 26th. Passes or tickets, meaning you can get a pass for the festival or just in a la carte, it sounds like. Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Thank you both. Thanks for having me, and I look forward to hearing what you all think of the festival.
You got it. All right.